The Galactic Assessment Station harmonious accord floated in the quiet dark between stars. It was a place of smooth, curved walls and soft light. His job was simple. Every new species that joined the Galactic Commons came here first. They were scanned, measured, and given a number. This number decided their future. The machine that did this was called the Universal Aptitude Scanner. It was a large, silent arch of blue metal. One by one, representatives would stand under it. A gentle hum would fill the room. Then, a clear screen would glow with words. Species, Threxian. Primary strength, dense muscle fiber. Classification, Tier 8. Suggested galactic role, civil engineering and material transport. Asterisk species. Clith. Primary strength, collective neural sync. Classification, Tier 9. Suggested galactic role, cross-species communication and diplomacy. Asterisk it was clean. It was fair. It was peaceful. For hundreds of years, the system had worked. Placed everyone where they fit best. Kept the galaxy stable. The humans were the newest to arrive. Their ship, the Odyssey, was small and angular next to the smooth curves of the station. The delegation had only 3 people. They were led by Li Ji-hun, a man with a calm face and careful eyes. With him was Kong Yuna, an engineer whose fingers were always moving, as if typing on air. The third was Park Min-min, was the team's xenobiologist. He was a quiet man, thoughtful. He liked to watch more than he liked to talk. As they walked the long hallway to the scanning chamber, he felt a knot in his stomach. It was not fear of the aliens. He found the many-legged Commissioner Gavar, who greeted them, to be polite. It was the silence of the place. It felt like a very clean, very quiet hospital. The process is simple and without pain, Commissioner Gavar said. His voice a soft clicking sound translated by the device on his chest. The scanner reads your biological and neurological apex, your greatest natural gift. It will show us how humanity can best contribute to the whole. Yihan nodded. We understand. We are ready. Yuna went first. She stepped under the arch. The blue light washed over her. The machine hummed. Words appeared on the screen. Scanning. Asterisk species, human. Primary strength. Pattern recognition and micromechanical dexterity. Classification. Tier 7. Suggested galactic role. Systems maintenance and technological repair. Asterisk Yuna smiled. Relieved. It made sense. Ji-hun went next. Scanning. Asterisk species, human. Primary strength. Hierarchical social coordination and long-term strategic planning. Classification. Tier 6. Suggested galactic role. Logistical coordination and project management. Asterisk Ji-hun let out a slow breath. It was logical. He was a leader. Then it was Min's turn. He felt the eyes of his friends and the alien officials on him. He walked forward. The floor was cool. He stood on the marked circle under the arch. He looked straight ahead. Begin scan, said Gavar. The hum started. The blue light touched his skin. It was warm. Min kept his mind blank, thinking of simple things. The white walls, the air, which smelled like nothing. He wanted to represent his species well. The hum changed pitch. It went higher. Then it stuttered. The blue light flickered, throwing jumpy shadows on the walls. Min's head suddenly hurt. A sharp, quick pain behind his eyes. In that flash of pain, he did not see the white room. He saw a different blue. The deep, dark blue of the sea at night. He heard a sound that was not a machine's hum. It was the crash of waves against a rocky shore. The smell of salt air, not sterile nothingness. It was gone as fast as it came. The scanner screen flashed once, twice. The usual neat green text did not appear. Instead, a single line of symbols burned onto the display. They were not green. They were a deep, pulsing, warning red. Every being in the room stared. The Threxians shifted on their powerful legs. The Clith communicators buzzed softly. Gavar stepped closer. His clicking sounds faster. What is this? A malfunction? On the screen, the red words were clear. They were in the common galactic script. which Min's translator implant could read instantly. His blood went cold. Do not classify. The hum of the scanner died completely. The room was silent. Min stepped back, the ghost of the sea sound still in his ears. He looked at Ji-hun and Yuna. Their faces were confused, then worried. "Run the scan again," Gavar ordered an aide. "We cannot, Commissioner," the aide replied, its voice trembling. "The system has locked. The directive is... It is a primary command layer. From the scanner's own core programming. It is not an error. It is a refusal." Gavar turned his large, multi-lensed eyes toward Min. The look was no longer just polite curiosity. It was something else. A deep, unsettled wariness. "What are you?" Gavar asked, the simple question heavy in the quiet air. Min opened his mouth, but no words came out. He had no answer. He was just a man from Busan. He studied alien plants. He liked quiet spaces. The only thing he felt was the fading ache in his head and a hollow feeling where his stomach had been. The red words continued to glow on the screen, a silent alarm. For the first time in the history of the Harmonious Accord, the machine that brought order to the galaxy had looked at a living soul and told it to stay unknown. The peace of the station felt fragile now, like thin glass. And Park Min, standing alone under the silent arch, felt more alone than he ever had in his life. The mystery of the red line had begun, and he was trapped at its very center. The silence after the scanner's red warning did not last. It was replaced by a low buzz of movement and sharp, clicking commands. Commissioner Gavar moved quickly. He placed a heavy, three-fingered hand on Lee Ji-hun's shoulder, not with anger, but with firm urgency. "You must come with me. All of you. Now," Gavar said. The human delegation was led not back to their ship, but down a side corridor. The walls here were just as smooth, but the doors were spaced farther apart. Kang Yuna leaned close to Ji-hun as they walked. "A primary command layer?" she whispered. "That's not a glitch. That's like the machine's deepest law. It was told not to do something." Ji-hun gave a small nod, his face calm but his eyes alert. Park Min walked behind them. He felt the stares of the station's other inhabitants. A group of slender Clith paused their work to watch the humans pass, their large eyes unblinking. They arrived at a suite of rooms. It was comfortable. There were chairs that adjusted to human shapes, a table with food and water. But the door, when it shut behind them, made a solid sound. A soft light above it glowed a pale blue. "This is a diplomatic quarantine," Ji-hun said, stating it for them all. He walked to the clear wall that looked out into space. Stars hung in the blackness, cold and distant. "They are not sure if we are a danger."
"A danger,"
Yuna said. She went to the room's interface terminal, a smooth panel on the wall. Her fingers danced over it. "We have no weapons. Our tech is simple compared to theirs." "What danger?" "The unknown is a danger here," Min said quietly. He sat on one of the chairs. His head was clear now, but the memory of the sea sound was stuck in his mind. It felt like a secret he had forgotten about. Their whole system is about knowing, about placing things. We did not get placed. Yuna worked at the terminal. "I am trying to see the scanner logs, to find out what it saw." After a few minutes, she let out a frustrated sigh. "It is locked, heavily encrypted, but I got fragment codes. They are repeating." "What do they say?" Ji-hun asked. "Two phrases," Yuna said, turning to face them. "Recursive consciousness and nonlinear trauma weight." The room was quiet. The words meant little, but they felt heavy. They felt personal. Min looked down at his hands. Trauma weight, the strange headache, the flash of the sea. He pushed the thought away. Outside their room, the station was deciding their fate. Commissioner Gavar stood in a circular chamber with other leaders of the Galactic Commons. A hologram of the red, "Do not classify" message hung in the air. "The directive is from the precursor protocols," said a Clith elder, her voice like wind through grass. "The ancient ones who built the scanner. It is a safeguard. It means the subject possesses a trait that is incompatible with classification." "A threat," Gavar stated firmly. Their strength is chaotic, unmeasurable. How can we integrate a species whose greatest asset is a mystery? It is a risk to the harmony. Or, the Clith Elder offered, it is simply different. We must not fear difference. We must seek understanding. Understanding.
Verklighet.
Their own machine, the one that knows all strengths, tells us not to understand. It is a warning. We must listen. Back in the quarantine room, Ji-hun was trying to listen, too. A small comms panel on the wall lit up. It was Gavar. Lee Ji-hun. We must speak. Your team member, Park Min. He must be interviewed. Alone. Yoon's jaw tightened. We stay together. That is our way. It is not our way, Gavar replied, his tone leaving no room for argument. The anomaly is with him. The scanner reacted to him. We must know why. It is for the safety of all. Min stood up. He felt a cold trickle of fear. He did not want to be alone with them, but he also saw the worry in his friend's eyes. He was the reason for it. It is okay, Min said, not feeling okay at all. I will go. He was led by a silent Threxian guard to a small, plain room. There was a table and 2 chairs. Commissioner Gavar was already there. Min sat down. Park Min, Gavar began. Your scans were normal. Your biology is simple. Your mind, however, is not. The scanner looked deep. What did it find? I do not know, Min said truthfully. What are you hiding? Gavar asked, leaning forward. Nothing, Min said. The word felt small. The machine says otherwise. Nonlinear trauma weight. Does that mean anything to you? Min's mouth went dry. The C sound echoed again. Faintly. He saw a flash of a dark window, an empty chair. He shook his head.
No.
It does not. Gavar watched him for a long time. Min tried to keep his face still, but he felt like a specimen under a light. You are lying, Gavar said finally, not with anger, but with certainty. Not with words, but you are hiding a truth from yourself. That is what the machine saw, a wall inside your own mind. The guard took Min back to the quarantine room. The door sealed behind him. Ji-hun and Yuna looked at him, full of questions. Min did not speak. He walked to the window and looked out at the stars. Gavar was right. He was hiding something, a memory so heavy he had buried it long ago. The scanner had not classified his strength. It had seen the shape of the box where he kept his pain, and it had thrown up a red warning not for the galaxy, but for him. The first crack in his own wall had appeared, and the silent, orderly station waited to see what would spill out. The argument in the Galactic Commons chamber was going in circles. Commissioner Gavar wanted the humans sent away, their ship escorted to the edge of known space. The Clith Elder, named Leora, urged for patience and study. The human delegation remained in their quiet rooms, the pale blue light above the door a constant reminder of their status. Lee Ji-hun knew they needed a solution. Proposal. He asked to speak. We wish to understand as much as you do, he said to the gathered leaders via the comms screen. Our technology is simple. We cannot explain the scanner, but we can offer cooperation. A voluntary test. Gavar was suspicious. What kind of test? Ji-hun had discussed it with Yuna. You have species that can share thoughts. The Lumine. They are peaceful, empathic. Let one of us connect with a Lumine. Let us share our strength willingly, mind to mind. Then you will see it is not a threat. It is just different. There was a long silence. Leora, the Clith, swayed gently. This is a reasonable path. The Lumine are gentle. They see truth. They cannot be harmed in such a link. Gavar finally agreed. It was a way to get an answer without violence. The risk, he felt, was to the Lumine, not the Commons. The Lumine arrived the next day. They were beings of soft, glowing light with no fixed shape. They communicated with feelings, not words. One Lumine floated in the center of a mediation room. Kong Yuna volunteered for the link. My mind is ordered, she told Ji-hun. It is logic and patterns. It will be clear for them to see. Yuna sat opposite the shimmering light. Gentle tendrils of luminescence reached out, touching her temples. The link was open. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the lumine's gentle glow flickered. It was a small, quick pulse. Yuna's face was calm. She was thinking of engine schematics, of efficient pathways, of the beautiful logic of a working system. The lumine's light flickered again, stronger this time. It began to pulse rapidly, changing colors from calm blue to a confused yellow, then a distressed orange. Yuna's calm broke. "Wait, I'm just showing you the reactor flow." Suddenly, the lumine recoiled. The light tendrils snapped back. The being's form shrank and dimmed, pulling into a tight, trembling orb. A feeling flooded the room, projected from the lumine. It was not a thought. It was pure, overwhelming emotion. The emotion was not fear. It was dissonance. Leora translated the feeling into words, her own voice full of wonder and worry. It says, "It is not one thing. It is a cascade." The lumine's projected sensation became clearer. The humans in the room and the aliens watching felt it in their minds. They saw not a single clean image of a reactor, but a flood. They saw Yuna as a young girl, holding a soldering iron for the first time, her father's proud smile. Then, in the same instant, they felt the deep, hollow ache of that same father years later, sick and fading, as Yuna sat by his bed adjusting his oxygen monitor. The joy of the machine and the grief of the loss were tied together, knotted around the same memory of his hands. They saw her triumph at solving a deep space navigation error, the cheer of her team, and layered over it, the crushing loneliness of those same years, working long nights while friends moved on, the silence of her empty apartment. The pride and the isolation were part of the same strength. The lumine trembled. "It is not a tool," Leora whispered, translating the being's awe and exhaustion. "It is a tapestry. Every thread of skill is woven with a thread of feeling. Pain, joy, loss, love. They are not separate. To see the strength is to feel the weight that forged it. They do not have a strength. They are defined by their capacity to carry weakness." The link broke fully. The lumine remained dim, quietly processing the storm it had touched. Yuna sat back, tears on her face. She had not shown the lumine her grief. The lumine had simply found it, living in the same house as her talent. Commissioner Gavar looked horrified. "It is chaos, an illness. Their strength is polluted." Leora turned her large eyes to him.
No.
"It is integration." The scanner did not fail. It overloaded. It tries to find a single, clean attribute to amplify. But for a human, to amplify the skill is to also amplify the pain that shaped it. To amplify the joy is to amplify the loss that made it precious. The machine cannot separate them. They are the same thing. She looked at Park Min, who had watched in silent understanding. The non-linear trauma weight. It is not a box inside him. It is the foundation under everything he is. The recursive consciousness, it means their minds work in loops. Every memory leads to another. Every feeling changes the past and the future. It is not a straight line. It is a circle. The room was dead quiet. The simple, clean system of the Galactic Commons had no category for this. Their peace was built on clean, amplified strengths with the costs quietly removed. Humanity's strength was the cost itself, carried openly. Forever. Jihan helped Yuna to her feet. Min finally spoke, his voice low. "You asked what we are," he said to Gavar. "We are not a danger. We are just unedited." The red warning on the scanner made perfect, terrible sense now. It was not a judgment. It was an error message from a machine that could not process a soul. The test was over. The Commons had its answer, and it was more frightening than any weapon. The quiet in the humans' room was heavy. Kang Yuna sat by the window, staring out. The lumine's experience had shaken her. It was like someone had looked at a beautiful, finished sculpture and then showed her all the chips and cracks in the raw stone it came from. She felt exposed. Li Jihun was thinking of next steps of diplomacy, but his mind kept returning to the feeling the lumine had shared. Yuna's loneliness mixed with her pride. It reminded him of things in his own life he preferred not to touch. Park Min was the stillest. He had said almost nothing since returning from his interview with Gavar. The words nonlinear trauma weight circled in his head like a trapped bird. The phantom sound of waves was no longer a faint echo. It was a steady, pulling rhythm in his ears. Like the tide coming in. He went to the small washroom. He splashed cold water on his face. He looked at his reflection in the smooth metal that served as a mirror. His own eyes looked back, tired and ordinary. But behind them, the pressure was building. The wall Gavar had said was there felt thin. It was cracking. He thought of the empty chair. His grandmother's chair by the window, looking out at the sea. Why that memory? It was a quiet, sad memory from long after the accident. It was safe. Then, without warning, the memory changed. It was not the quiet chair. It was the window, the dark window of a ferry at night. The glass was cold under his fingertips. He was small. The shouts outside the room were not shouts of play. They were screams of metal and terror. Min gasped, stumbling back from the sink. He braced himself against the wall. His heart hammered against his ribs. Min, are you okay? It was Ji-hun's voice at the door. I am fine, Min said, but his voice was a stranger's. A headache. He was not fine. The memory unspooled, fast and cruel. He was 12. The ferry, the MVCOE, was rolling. The floor tilted. The lights went out. His mother's hand was tight around his. Then it was gone in the screaming dark and the icy water that rushed in. He remembered the cold. The unbelievable cold of the sea in April. The sound of the ship groaning like a dying animal. He had been pulled from the water. A fisherman's strong hands had hauled him into a boat. He had lain on a hard bench, wrapped in a scratchy blanket, shaking. He had looked back at the black water dotted with lights. He had not cried. He had just gone quiet inside. A deep, permanent quiet. For years he had built a life around that quiet. He studied living things. He sought order. He was calm and careful. He never spoke of it. He thought he had packed it away in a box and left it in the past. The scanner had not seen a box. It had seen the shape of the empty space the box had left in his mind. It had seen the foundation of his quietness, his patience, his need for safe, predictable order. All of it was built on that night. His strength, his resilience was not in spite of the memory. It was woven from its very fabric. He opened the washroom door. His face was pale. Ji-hun and Yuna were both standing there, worried. It's the ferry, isn't it? Ji-hun said softly. He had done his research on his team. He knew Min's history. He had never mentioned it, respecting the silence. Min just nodded. He sank into a chair. The words started to come, slow at first, then in a rush. He talked about the dark water, the cold, the silence after, the empty chair at his grandmother's house where his mother should have been sitting. He had never said these things out loud. Not to a therapist, not to anyone. When he finished, the room was quiet again, but it was a different quiet. It was shared. Yuna reached out and put her hand over his. My father, she said. For 3 years, I was his nurse and his daughter. I learned to fix machines while I watched the best man I knew break down. I learned to be calm because his fear needed a rock. My skill with systems. It grew in that room. Ji-hun sat down heavily. The mine collapse in Gyeongju. I was a junior officer. I helped pull 17 men out. We celebrated. We called it a miracle. He took a slow breath. We never talked about the 6 we didn't reach in time. I can still hear their taps on the rocks getting slower. I organize. A plan. I make sure everything has an order. A backup plan. Because I never want to hear that slowing tap again. They looked at each other. 3 people from Korea, from Earth, sitting in a room at the center of the galaxy. Their greatest strengths. Min's quiet perseverance, Yuna's brilliant problem-solving, Ji-hun's flawless leadership, were now visible for what they truly were. Not clean, gifted talents. They were scars. Beautiful, complex, powerful scars. The Lumine had been right. It was a tapestry. The dark threads were not flaws. They were what gave the picture its depth, its strength. The scanner had tried to classify the pattern but could not because it was designed to only see the bright, shiny threads. It rejected the whole picture because the dark threads were an inseparable part of the weave. Min felt exhausted, but he also felt something else. A strange, hollow relief. The thing in the box was out. It was just a memory now. Terrible, sad memory. But it was not a monster controlling him from the dark. It was a part of his story. He looked at the pale blue light on the door. The galaxy outside wanted a simple answer. A category. They had just discovered that the answer was not simple. It was 3 lifetimes of quiet courage, born in dark water, in a sick room, in a deep mine. The scanner's red warning was not for them. It was for a universe that had forgotten how hard it is to be a person. And the humans, for the first time together, finally understood what made them human. It was not what they could do. It was what they had carried and carried on. A new kind of tension filled the station. The report from the Lumine had spread. The words, tapestry, and carry weakness were whispered in corridors. Some species looked at the humans with curiosity. Others, like the Threxians, looked at them with clear unease. The unknown had become known, and it was unsettling. Commissioner Gavar requested another meeting with Li Ji-hun. This time, it was not in a formal chamber, but in Gavar's private office. The room was spare, with only a large window looking out at the stars. "Your truth is problematic," Gavar began, his clicking voice low. "It creates dissonance. Our peace is delicate. It is built on clear roles and predictable strengths." Ji-hun remained calm. "Our truth is just our nature. It is not a weapon. We wish to join you, not disrupt you." Gavar was silent for a long moment. He seemed to be struggling with something. Finally, he turned from the window. "You do not understand what the scanner is, what it truly does." He walked to a panel on the wall and touched it. A hologram appeared. It showed the simple, clean arch of the Universal Aptitude Scanner. "It does not just find strengths," Gavar said, each word heavy. "It edits."
Ji-hun frowned.
Edits. The ancient ones who built it, the precursors, understood a fundamental truth, Gavar explained. Sentience is pain. To feel deeply is to be wounded by existence. Joy is bright, but it casts a long shadow of loss. Ambition is fueled by insecurity. Love is twin to grief. The hologram changed, showing a simplified brain pattern. A bright light glowed in one section, a talent for music, but tangled with it was a dim, pulsing knot. The memory of a harsh critic, a failed performance, a deep fear of being unheard. The scanner finds that bright light, Gavar continued. It classifies it, and then it gently suppresses the tangled knot. It does not erase the memory. It simply softens its emotional weight. It turns down the volume of the pain. This is the gift of the precursors. This is the foundation of the galactic commons. Ji-hun stared, understanding dawning like a cold sunrise. You mute your pain? Your grief. We manage it, Gavar corrected, a defensive edge in his click. We are freed from its chaotic weight. A Threxian's great strength is not burdened by the memory of the mate they lost. A Clith's communal mind is not haunted by the loneliness of their individual past. Our strengths are pure. Our peace is built on this purity. He pointed a thick finger at Ji-hun. Your species, your minds are different. Your consciousness is inelastic. Your pain and your joy are fused into the same material. To turn down one is to turn down the other. The scanner tried. It found Park Min's profound resilience. But to isolate and amplify that, it would have had to first soften the trauma that forged it. Could not. The two are the same thing. The nonlinear trauma weight is the foundation of the strength. The recursive consciousness means every loop of thought reinforces both the skill and the wound. Gavar's large shoulders slumped. It was a gesture of defeat. The red warning, do not classify. It is a precursor safeguard. It means this consciousness cannot be edited without destruction. This sentience must remain whole. You are a wild species. You feel everything, fully. You always will. The truth was staggering. Humanity's great anomaly was not a superpower. It was a refusal to be sanitized. Their curse of feeling everything was also their unbounded capacity for love, for art, for grit. The galaxy had found a way to have peace by turning down the volume on life itself. Humans had simply never learned how. So what does this mean for us? Jihan asked, his voice quiet. It means you are a risk, Gavar said. Your unedited emotional state is volatile. To us, it is like a contagion. Your grief is raw. Your joy is overwhelming. Your love is possessive. Your memories are sharp and painful. You could remind others of what they have chosen to forget. You could destabilize everything. You are saying we cannot join you? Jihan felt a deep sadness. They had come so far. I am saying the choice is terrible, Gavar replied. We can try to integrate you knowing you are a chaotic variable. Or we can recommend isolation. Your species would be given a wide berth, left to your own turbulent world. Gavar looked back at the stars. The scanner did not reject you, protected you. It saw that our process would break you. To give you the peace of the commons, we would have to shatter your souls to remove the cracks. The machine refused to do it. Jihan walked slowly back to the quarantine room. The weight of the revelation pressed on him. They were not too weak for the galaxy. They were too alive. Their strength was their unbearable, beautiful, messy humanity. And a universe that prized calm above all else did not know what to do with a storm. The choice was laid before the full galactic commons. On one side, integrate the unpredictable humans and accept the risk. On the other, gently, politely send them away into permanent isolation. The debate was quiet and solemn. Lee Ji-hun, Kang Yuna, and Park Min waited in their room. They knew the stakes now. The truth about the scanner had changed everything. It was no longer about a machine's error. It was about two different ways of being alive. They are afraid of what we feel, Yuna said, her voice hard. They are afraid of feeling it themselves.
Min said quietly.
Since sharing his memory, a strange calm had settled over him. The heavy thing was out of the dark. It was just a story now. A sad story that belonged to him. He was not fighting it anymore. They have a right to their peace, Ji-hun said. He was the leader trying to see all sides. If our presence hurts them, how can we demand to stay? But they are not whole, Min said softly. They both looked at him. He rarely spoke first. They removed a piece of themselves to stop the hurt. We did not. We kept the peace even though it cut us. That is all. A soft chime sounded. A request to address the assembly. It was not for Ji-hun. It was for Park Min. They want to hear from you, Ji-hun said, surprised. Min nodded. He had expected it. He was the anomaly. The red line was for him. He stood up. I should be the one to speak. He was led again to the circular chamber. The beings of the commons were arranged in a wide circle. Their forms were strange and varied. But their attention was the same. It was heavy on his shoulders. Commissioner Gavar and Elder Leora watched him closely. Min stood in the center. He did not look at the stars on the view screen. He looked at the floor for a moment, gathering his words. He thought of the simple, clear truth he had found. You asked what I am, he began, his voice clear in the quiet room. I am a man from a city called Busan. It is by the sea. He told them about the ferry. He did not use big words. He spoke of the cold water, the noise, the silence after, the empty chair. He spoke of the years of quiet that followed, of studying small forms of life, of seeking order in a universe that had felt so chaotic and cruel. For a long time, I thought that night was a weakness, a break in me. I thought my strength was in spite of it, that I had overcome it. He looked up, meeting the many eyes around him. I was wrong. The scanner saw the truth before I did. My strength is not in spite of the memory. It is because of it. My patience was learned in the dark water. My care for living things grew from a fear of death. My quietness is the shape of that old silence. He saw Gavar shift, uncomfortable. Min continued. You have built a beautiful piece. You took the sharp edges off of life so no one gets cut. I understand why. He paused. But a smooth stone, over time, loses its shape. It becomes just like any other stone. We humans, we keep our edges. Our scars are our shape. My friend Yuna's brilliance is sharpened by her grief. My friend Jihan's leadership is hardened by his failure. Our joy is brighter because we remember the dark. He took a step forward, his hands open. You are afraid our pain will spread, that it will remind you of yours. Maybe it will. But pain remembered is not a sickness. It is a connection. It is what makes kindness real. My grandmother, after we lost my mother, she would make seaweed soup for me every year on the day it happened. It was a sad day, but the soup was warm. Her care was a fact. That day was terrible, but it also became the day I felt most loved. He looked around the circle, at beings who had likely never tasted such a bittersweet thing. You offer us a peace of quiet forgetting. We thank you, but we must decline. Our peace is different. It is the peace of carrying on. It is the peace of knowing the weight and choosing to stand up anyway. That is all we are. That is all we offer. Min finished. He had nothing else to say. The chamber was utterly silent. No cliques, no whispers. He saw Leora, the Clith elder, lower her head. A soft, shimmering tear, like liquid light, drifted from her large eye. It was a feeling she had not fully felt in centuries. A sorrow that did not cripple, but connected. Gavar looked stricken. The human's words were not an argument. They were a story, and the story had slipped past his defenses. It reminded him of the mate he had lost, whose memory was now only a soft, faded picture without the ache. He had thought the ache was the price. Now he wondered if the ache was the proof. Min did not wait for a response. He gave a small, respectful bow and walked slowly from the chamber. He had spoken for his species. He had shown their unclassified heart. It was not a weapon. It was just a heart, scarred and beating. The decision was theirs now. But for the first time, he was not afraid of the outcome. He had nothing left to hide. The decision of the Galactic Commons did not come quickly. For 3 days, the station was quieter than usual. The usual hum of efficient work was replaced by a low, thoughtful stillness. Li Jihan, Kang Yuna, and Park Min waited. They talked little. They had said all they needed to say. On the morning of the 4th day, Commissioner Gavar and Elder Leora came to their room. The pale blue light above the door finally switched off. The door was open. Gavar's posture was different. The rigid suspicion was gone. He looked tired, but his eyes were clear. Leora stood beside him, a gentle light seeming to glow from within her slender form. The Commons has reached a conclusion, Gavar said, his clicking voice softer than before. There will be no vote for isolation. There will be no standard integration. Jihan felt a knot tighten in his chest. What does that mean? Leora spoke, her voice like a breeze. It means we have created a new classification. The first new classification since the precursors left us the scanner. It is not a number. It is a title. She touched a panel on the wall. A document appeared, written in the common galactic script. At the top, where a species name and tier number would normally be, were 3 words: Custodians of Depth. Your role is not to do one thing, Leora explained. It is to be what you are. You will move among us. You will work with us. You will help us remember what we have chosen to set aside. Not to cause pain, but to offer context. Gavar stepped forward. He held out a small data crystal. This is the formal definition of your strength, as it will be entered into the record. It was written by the consensus. Jihan took the crystal and placed it in the room's viewer. Words filled the screen. Species, human, primary strength, ambivalent resilience. The capacity to hold contradictory truths and proceed. Classification. N/A. Suggested galactic role. Custodians of depth. Cross-cultural mediation. Historical and emotional contextual analysis. Emergent crisis response. Yuna let out a slow breath. Ambivalent resilience, she whispered. It was perfect. It is not a safe role, Gaver said. Looking at Min, many will still be wary of you. Your world is not safe, but it is real. And after hearing Park Min speak, a majority of the Commons believes, we need more reality in our peace. Provisional membership was granted. Their ship was released. They were free to move through the station, and eventually through the galaxy, not as engineers or soldiers, but as something entirely new. In the weeks that followed, Min found his purpose. He did not return to the study of alien plants. Instead, he began working with Leora and a small group of Lumine. They formed the first of what they called context chambers. It was a quiet space where any being could come, with a Lumine present, to explore a softened memory, to remember the edges of a lost feeling, safely, without being overwhelmed. Min helped guide them. He did not tell them what to feel. He simply showed them how he carried his own seed. He was on the observation deck one evening, looking at the stars. The vast, silent beauty of it no longer felt cold to him. It felt like a bigger ocean. Jihan and Yuna found him there. They stood together, looking out. It's not what we expected, Jihan said. No, Min agreed. It's better. They were quiet for a while. Min felt the familiar, hollow ache of the old memory. The cold water, the dark, but he did not push it away. He let it sit there, beside him. It was a part of the view. It was the depth in his own sky. Do you think they'll be okay? Yuna asked. With us, with all our edges. Min nodded slowly. I think they will learn, and I think we will learn too. We will learn that our strength was never about being unbreakable. It was about being broken, and knowing how all the pieces fit back together. The scanner's red line had not been a stop sign. It had been a mirror. It had shown the galaxy a reflection of a soul too complex to be simplified. And it had shown humanity what they had always been, but had never had the words for. They were not the strongest. They were not the smartest. They were simply the ones who had never learned how to stop feeling. And in a universe that had mastered calm, that made them the keepers of a very rare, very precious kind of fire, below them, the great scanner waited for the next species. It would continue its work, creating peace by giving gentle gifts of forgetfulness. But now there was a new line in its deepest code, a note added after the red warning. See human. See custodians of depth. For reference. Min turned from the window. The stars were behind him. The work, the messy, beautiful, real work, was ahead. And for the first time in a very long time, he was not afraid of the dark inside or the vast dark outside. They were the same thing, and he was not alone in it. He was just a man from Busan, and that was enough.